Hey guys, CanonHT/Apollo18 here, and I'm going to do a little book review. Hopefully this won't go too long. If it does, I've come prepared. Where I have coffee, and if I run out, I have more coffee. So, I haven't slept since I got up yesterday at like time did I get up yesterday? 3:30, 4? I don't remember. It was sometime in the afternoon. It was still light out. It hadn't gotten dark yet. Anyway, so I'm going to try to make these kind of quick. I'll go over Twilight first. So I know a lot of people gave me some flack for reading the Twilight series, and honestly, it's not a terrible series, but I definitely wouldn't read it again. So I would put it at rating from 1 to 10, 1 being absolute shit, and 10 being, well, the only book I would really ever give a 10 would probably be Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. That would probably be the only book I would give a 10, because I fucking love that book. I'll read that book for days on end. I probably, right on, I'd say spot on, about just shy, over the middle, like 5.5, 6. It was a decent read, but they're really slow. And by slow, I mean each chapter and whatever progresses slowly, but the time skips in between are extremely fast. Anyway, so we'll start with Twilight, obviously the first book. So, general synopsis. Girl in the front, Bella, and this guy in the front is Edward. Bella's a human, Edward's a vampire. Bella moves to Forks from Phoenix, Arizona. Forks, Seattle, to Phoenix, Arizona, where she lives with her divorced father, Charlie, who is one of maybe 3 cops in the small town. So the first book is literally all about vampires. That's all that's in it. Pretty much to sum up the book, Bella sees Edward, Bella's infatuated. Bella tries to talk to Edward. Edward is hesitant. Bella spends time with Edward. Edward has some kind of emotional state where he's in love with Bella, but pretty much his idea of being in love just means he wants to sink his fangs into her and suck her blood, because she smells nice. So Edward is not one vampire. He is part of a family of vampires, which I believe is 7, right? Carlisle, Esme, Jasper, Alice, Emmett, Rosalie, Edward. Yeah, 7. So, in the book, there's a lot more backstory than what's in the movie. Obviously, I watched the movie after I read the book just to see the differences. I think the best part of the book, honestly, for me, is Carlisle's backstory. Carlisle is a doctor in Forks, and he's the oldest of this clan of vampires. And his story is really cool because his father was a priest who was literally banishing vampires, and he was at like a raid or like a hunting or something anyway, and he got singled out and, and bit by a vampire, and then like kind of just fled to the sewers to become a vampire. So his story is actually really cool, and you get more of the backstory in the second book, which is even better. Anyway, so he's the leader of this clan of 7 vampires that don't feed on humans. So it's kind of a rare thing. There's only, I think in the book it says only like 2 or 3 clans that observe this, where they don't feed on humans. They only feed on animals. And I'm actually going to lift you up for a second. I propped you up on my phone, and I didn't realize that there's like texture on the bottom of this camera, and I didn't want the camera to scratch the touchscreen portion of my phone. Anyway, so they feed on animals and whatnot, and for whatever reason, Edward has like the hardest time not killing Bella, because it takes skill per se to change a human into a vampire and not kill them. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, but pretty much To sum up the whole book is literally Bella is infatuated with Edward, but like it's kind of dumb, but it's pretty much like a horny love. That's like the most dumb thing to describe it as, but that's literally what it sounds like to me. She's so over the top for Edward that it's not even like personality love. It's just she's just a horny bitch that wants to fuck Edward. The whole book. That's literally what it is. And Edward genuinely loves Bella, like emotionally, because, well, as far as I know from the first two books, vampires can't reproduce. So he likes her just because, well, she smells nice, and he wants to eat her, but also he can't read Bella's mind. Some of the vampires have like special powers, or they call them gifts, and Edward's is mind reading or telepathy. But he can't transmit; he can only receive, and so he can read everyone's mind except for Bella, which leads to some interesting situations where he can read someone's mind when they're mad at Bella. So it's kind of funny. But pretty much as it goes, like slowly, Bella starts in the book where she's shy and doesn't want to be near anyone, to where she has regular friends, so now she has vampire friends. Jacob is one of the characters that gets introduced, and he's actually kind of cool in the first book. So I was excited to know that he's a New Moon, second book. But anyway, the end of the first book was kind of poorly done, if I must say. Pretty much what it is about 3/4 of the way through, as Bella's being like slowly integrated into this vampire clan. I gotta grab my coffee quick. Take a drink. I'll set them on top of these books. Anyway, so she's slowly getting integrated into this vampire clan. These other vampires come, and they're like legit vampires, like they kill humans to eat. And so they just want to talk to the Cullen clan, and one of them gets a scent of Bella and wants to eat Bella, or bite her or whatever. And so trying to remember how it goes. Well, anyway, they want to kill Bella, pretty much is what it is, because humans aren't supposed to know about vampires, so they just want to kill Bella just because. So anyway, so James, I think his name is James, right? Yeah. Anyway, James says that he's gonna hurt Bella's family, so Bella flees, and then it's a trap, and James gets Bella, and then Edward comes and saves Bella and kills James, but Bella's already been bitten by James, so now Edward has to save her. So, because, well, Bella can't just turn into a vampire, because magic of the book, vampires in this book sparkle. They don't like die in sunlight. They have like diamond skin, like the girl from X-Men Origins, the telepathic touch girl. Her sister, the Diamond Girl. That's kind of what their skin looks like, except that it's more skin-like than diamond-like. It's kind of hard to explain. But anyway, so Edward and Carlisle don't want Bella to change, so Edward sucks the vampire venom out of Bella's blood. So that's kind of like a bonding moment for them, because Edward has to like control himself so he doesn't kill Bella. He just turns her back to normal or whatever, and it scars over and it leaves like a cold mark. And that's pretty much the end of the first book. So not really terrible per se, but it could have been better. Anyway, New Moon though, holy shit, totally different story. If there was ever a book that I enjoyed more than its predecessor, as of right now, it's probably this one, because Edward has completely gone, just gone, and so Bella is like just a wreck for the longest time until she starts hanging out with Jacob Black, who you meet in the first book, and he's part of the Quillettes, which you learn about in the first book. He tells like a legend between the Quillettes and the Cold Ones, or the vampires, and like the whole deal with Forks and why vampires aren't allowed to lapouche or La Push, where the Colettes live. Um, anyway, so since Edward's gone, Bella has this metaphorical, huge, jagged, missing hole in her heart, which every time she describes it, I just imagine this giant circle of, like, I don't know. The best way that I can describe it is if you've seen the movie Men in Black, the giant worm, I think his name is Jimmy or Bill or Bob or whatever. I don't know what the fuck the worm's name was. The worm that eats the subway. Anyway, I just imagine a giant hole with that worm's teeth in it. That's what I imagined. Anyway, so there's a giant metaphorical hole and she needs to fill it with something. And since Edward's gone, her first reaction is to find someone else to hang out with and be infatuated with. So she defaults to Jacob Black, a guy who she kind of had interest in, but not really. She was just using it for information. And now in this book, Jacob Black is being a little more forward and like trying to like hit on her and stuff. So it's actually quite interesting. But it's definitely turning into a weird love story, which I don't know why. I'm a sucker for love triangles, but I think they're fucking hilarious. So anyway, so after having months of being depressed and having night terrors and freaking the fuck out, Bella starts hanging out with Jacob and she feels totally fine. So now she's building a relationship with Jacob, which is not official boyfriend-girlfriend, but they're hanging out as friends. And everything's all funky-dory. And, like, Bella kind of still using Jacob to, like, I don't know, get adrenaline. Because for whatever reason, whenever Bella's in trouble, she hears and sees Edward. So that's, like, her motive for hanging out with Jacob is that if she's in enough danger, she'll hear him. And I think that's really stupid and dumb. Like, why would you hang out with another character just to hear the first character that you like? So, I don't understand. But anyway, so, story progresses. Bella is friends with Jacob. Jacob falls in love with Bella. And they're doing these cool things. Bella's hearing Edward's voice at the hiccups. Ugh. Alright, well that was a fun cut. Anyway, so then you find out that Jacob's friends, or his like relatives or whatever, the other Quilets are like acting weird and Jacob doesn't like them. So that's important. Which is reasonable. I mean Jacob's only like, what, 15 or 16, I don't know. Anyway, so it's understandable that he wouldn't like his older cousins or whatever. So anyway, Sam Yuli's like the leader of the group. I would say leader of the pack, but that's a pun for later. So he's kind of like the to them, but then now, like for whatever reason, in the movie it's kind of weird how they transition. Because I watched the movie after this one, it's kind of weird how they transitioned. But in the book, it's like an overnight thing. It's so weird. Like one day he's fine, and the next day he's suddenly like serious Jacob Black. And so Bella like tries to call him and contact him, and Billy's just being an asshole. Billy being Jacob's grandfather, I think is what it is. Anyway, and so like I just think that it's dumb. It's like, well, first you want to get Edward back, and that's not working. So you take advantage of Jacob to give you like adrenaline highs so you can see Edward, and that's fine. But then now that Jacob has feelings for you and he wants to pursue them, you're like, okay, fine, that'll be alright. And then now Jacob's gone and you're like, oh, okay, well now I actually legit care about Jacob. But now that she cares about Jacob, Jacob doesn't give two shits about Bella, which I think is just fucking hilarious. Yet another love triangle twist. And now suddenly he likes Sam Yuli, which when I first read that I was like, okay, this is dumb. First he doesn't like Sam, and now he's like Sam's best friend. So you learn, well, you don't really learn the truth, but you connect all the dots by now, that the Colettes are actually a family of werewolves, and not your typical Professor Lupin werewolves, or Only Change at Night werewolves. No, the Twilight series just breaks all monster story cliches all over. Vampires sparkle. They are, you know, don't sleep in coffins. Werewolves are more like wolves than humans. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, so there's this huge deal, and to make the conflict even worse, which I think is hilarious, is that now Jacob can also read minds, and he can read Bella's mind, which I think is an awesome concept. But I'm wondering how it's going to play out later, because Jacob can read Bella's mind, and he learns that he's been deceived. Bella has deceived him, and she's been with the, known about the vampires the whole time, but never told him. And so he feels like, I don't know, betrayed, because she knew about the Quillettes and the vampires, but never told him. And so now he feels betrayed, which I think is totally fine, because the bitch deserved it. And so he decides that he doesn't want to talk to Bella anymore. So now we're back to the first page. Well, actually, probably like page like 60 or something when Edward leaves. So now Bella has not only the hole in Edward's chest, the hole in her chest that Edward caused, which she was trying to fill with Jacob, but now she has the hole that is like a secondary, so a hole within a whole section that Jacob caused that was trying to cure Edward's hole in Bella. So once again, dumb love triangle that I just ate up, because love triangles are fucking hilarious. Who doesn't love a good love triangle? So anyway, so honestly, from that point, I wasn't sure where the story was going to go, because Jacob is now hanging with the werewolves, and we still have had no sign of the vampires, of the Cullens. You literally don't hear about the Cullens for the majority of this book. This book literally is about Bella and Jacob. That's the whole book. Well, except for like maybe the last, I don't know, 100 pages or so. So aside from like 160 or 140 pages, the rest of the 540 pages are totally about Bella and Jacob. That's all it is. So I don't know why the books are so fucking long. They're so simple. But anyway, so I'm trying to think how I want to wear this now. So anyway, so with all the mixed emotions, I think it's kind of dumb how it's like back and forth. But whatever. I can't figure anything smarter than that. But anyway, so Bella doubts Jacob, and Jacob's all like, "Oh, well, that's fine. That you don't give two shits now." So he's with the werewolves, and it actually works out in Bella's favor earlier, because she was confronted by Laurent, who was one of the 3 vampires that confronted the Cullens in the first book, and he explained that Victoria was coming to kill her. Well, if a vampire goes on Quillette land, then the Quillettes have the authority to kill them, pretty much. If they're an outside vampire, that's not the Cullens. If it's the Cullens, and they're not allowed there, so they just have to make them leave. And so I thought that was pretty cool. The werewolves killed Laurent, which I thought was hilarious, because reading it in the book and seeing it in the movie was so much different, because in the book Jacob's explaining it, whereas in the movie they show the scene of them killing Laurent with the scene from Bella's perspective of them confronting Laurent, not later when Jacob's talking to Bella in her bedroom. Which, why would you go in her bedroom? Why? I don't understand that. Why? What is this thing with the bedroom? And Edward watching her sleep, that's fucking creepy. But the fact that vampires don't have to sleep and they don't have to breathe, that's pretty cool. I'll give Stephanie Myers that. That's pretty cool. Vampires that don't have to sleep or breathe, pretty awesome. So anyway, so eventually Bella jumps off a cliff because she's just fucking stupid, and she almost dies. Jake saves her, and then Alice shows up. Thank God, because Alice is the only voice of reason that could ever exist. So she talks to Bella and can't figure out why she saw Bella die, but Bella's alive. Bella explains that Jacob saved her, and then Alice realizes why she didn't see Bella get saved by Jacob, because Jacob's a werewolf, and apparently her future visions can't see werewolves. So anyway, so that is kind of a weird scene. It's funnier in the movie, but in the book it's kind of just bleh. So anyway, how does it end? I don't remember how it ends. Oh yeah, duh. Anyway, so Edward's not back, and he decides he wants to die because he thinks Bella's dead, because Alice told Rosalie that Bella might have died. and or that Bella jumped off a cliff, which Rosalie assumed that Bella's dead. Edward wants to die because Bella's dead, so he's got nothing to live for. So he goes to the Volturi. Now, I love the idea of the Volturi. A lot of people, I don't know what they think. I would assume some people are for it, some people are against it. But the idea of the Volturi, honestly, I would say so far is the best parts of the book. Pretty much what the Volturi are, well, people who have read the books know, but for people who don't, that are watching this that might be interested, Volturi are a group of like maybe a dozen legit vampires. So they kill and eat humans, suck human blood. Dracula don't suck. Dracula bite, scrape, and lick. Blah, blah. So, fucking Blackula. Pooper. Oh, that's hilarious. That's a different vlog. But anyway, so the Volturi is like a form of vampire government where they're like all the branches of regular government into one. So they punish vampires, they have rules, they have restrictions. So pretty much if you break enough rules, then they'll summon you or capture you and kill you by breaking off your head. So not only can werewolves kill vampires, like the Coilettes can kill vampires, but vampires can kill vampires. So I need to pour myself some more coffee since my cup's getting down to about half. You should take notes, Dodger. This is how you drink coffee. Actually, after this, I'll probably just post a small video, be like, here, Dodger, this is how coffee time is supposed to go. But anyway, I love the Volturi. There's 3 old vampires who aren't explained in the movie, but in the book they're explained to be like part of the original 4 vampires who led their own like special group when Carlisle was like first changed. I don't remember. But anyway, so this group of vampires, Edward is going to kill himself. Or wants to die, because vampires apparently can't kill themselves. They can't commit suicide, but they can get killed by other vampires, I guess stronger ones. But the Volturi refuses because Edward's gift is too valuable that he can read minds. So, excuse me. So Edward decides to do like the unthinkable, because if you commit enough high enough treason, then the Volturi has no excuse not to kill you to protect themselves. So if your reason for exposure is greater than the Volturi can protect themselves without eliminating you, then they have to eliminate you. It's kind of stupid how to explain it, but anyway, if you read the book you'll get it. So anyway, so Edward's going to expose himself at midday under a clock tower in the sun where there's a lot of people because they're doing a festival. How irony, I love this part, how irony that they're celebrating the banishment of vampires. Irony at its best. Well, not quite. So anyway, so miraculously, Alice manages to take Bella to Paris only after Jacob fucks things up by answering the phone at Bella's place and thinks that it's someone else, but it's actually Edward. He thinks it's Carlisle. And he tells Edward that Charlie is going to a funeral. I'm not saying whose funeral he's going to because one of the other police chiefs or whatever died. So that's where Charlie's going. But Edward thinks it's Bella, so that's why he wants to die. Sorry, I didn't explain that. So anyway, so magically, in the movie, it doesn't have any span of time. It's like Alice and Bella are suddenly at Volterra, which is the city where the Volturi are. Very confusing. The similarity in names. So they meet with the Volturi, and this amazing thing happens where the Volturi finds out that Bella confounds all of their special powers. So it's quite interesting because I don't know if it's going to be like a crucial plot point later, because I could see it as being one, but like Edward can't read her mind. Alice can see what her future could be, but like it's super vague. And then like Arrow, or Aro. I don't know how they pronounce his name in the movie. But anyway, he has the same power as Edward, but it's stronger, but he can only sense it by touching the person, like with their hands. So they kind of do like this thing where, don't move coffee, like Arrow will put his hand out and the other person will put their hand like this, and then he can read all of their thoughts from like the beginning of time. So it's kind of crazy. And then like there's another one where like he can sense the strength of relationships or whatever with people. So anyway, so Arrow is intrigued about how Edward stays calm when he's around Bella, because I think, well, one of the lines in the book, I'll probably look it up, but he quotes that, you know, reading Edward's mind about how he feels when he's around Bella makes him thirsty, because apparently Bella smells delicious. Anyway, so Edward no longer wants to die, and they want to kill Bella. One, because she knows too much, or change her to see what her gifts are. Edward doesn't want anyone to change her except for him and maybe Alice or Carlisle. So he breaks out in a fight, and then Alice convinces Arrow that Alice will be the one to change her, and she makes up some like false mind prophecy thing, whatever. So anyway, they leave Volturi. Edward and them go back to Forks. Everything is hunky-dory. And in the epilogue, trying to think. Yeah, in the epilogue, Jacob and Edward get into like an argument with Bella because Bella wants to get changed like immediately. Like she wants to be a vampire now. Jacob knows better, and Edward knows that that's not going to happen. So once again, dumb three-way love triangle. Bella loves Edward. Edward likes Bella. Jacob hates Edward, and Jacob loves Bella. So it's a dumb triangle. But anyway, so as it turns out, the treaty that the Cullens have with the Quillette is that they can't bite a human. So earlier in the book, Jacob finds out that Bella's been bitten by a vampire, but not by a Cullen. So the treaty is still in effect. However, learning that she wants to get changed by a Cullen, he pretty much warns Bella that, you know, once she's changed, he will become her enemy and whatever. So the progression of New Moon goes a little slower, I guess, but pretty much the basis of New Moon is, you know, Edward leaves, Bella's in pain, Bella seeks Jacob, Jacob's fine, Jacob loves Bella, Jacob changes into a werewolf, Bella doesn't like Jacob anymore, everybody thinks Bella dies, Edward wants to die, they save Edward, Edward comes back, Jacob's still an asshole now. So overall, like I said, I only give the books maybe a 5.5 or maybe even a 6 out of 10, but they weren't spectacular, only for the simple fact that they just dragged on and nothing happened. So but I'm kind of hesitant about reading Eclipse just because it's so much longer. I mean, New Moon was what, like 540 pages? I don't even remember. Can't really tell, but I'm like flipping to look. It's 562 pages, and I think Eclipse is like 610. So not really too many pages, but it's more than I really want to read. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna quick see how much time I'm up to on here. Not bad, like a half an hour. I thought that would take way longer. Alright, well, I need to pee, because coffee does that. But, like I said, my overall thoughts, the books could be condensed a lot. I mean, when they did the movies, they pretty much did them perfect. I wouldn't say they left out a lot, but they didn't need to add a whole lot to get what was coming across. Pretty much, like I said earlier, previously. I mean, the books are simple. Twilight, Bella's shy, Bella makes human friends, Bella makes vampire friends. Bella sees Edward and turns into a horny bitch. Edward wants to bite Bella. Other vampires want to eat Bella. Edward kills one of the vampires one of the rogue vampires, and then Victoria, who's the female of the three rogue vampires, wants to kill Bella. That's the end of book 1. Book 2, New Moon. Edward leaves. Bella's in pain. Makes friends with Jacob. Jacob thinks they're boyfriend girlfriend. Jacob turns into a wolf. Reads Bella's mind. Learns she's with vampires. Hates Bella. Bella says she's sorry. Jacob doesn't care. Bella goes and jumps off a cliff. Jacob saves her. Alice tells Rosalie that she might have died. Edward wants to go die. They see the Volturi. Everything's hunky-dory. They come back and explain the treaty. So honestly, yeah, the way they did the movies pretty much sums up the books perfectly. They didn't need to add anything more, and had they taken anything more out of it, I really wouldn't have cared. So literally, like, as I was reading the books, I'm like, oh, this was in the movie, this wasn't in the movie. Yeah, this didn't need to be in the movie, it was fine. Whereas, like, Harry Potter, that's a whole other rant. They left so much shit out of Harry Potter that, yeah, I don't even know. That's a totally different rant that I'll talk about another time, but I really need to piss. So this video is over. That's all I got for you guys. Twilight and New Moon. I'll probably maybe make another video in a couple months when I finish reading Eclipse. And if I really feel like it, I'll read Breaking Dawn just because I have all the books. But, so yeah, that's it. I'm going to go pee, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'm probably going to drink this whole pot of coffee and be in the bathroom. So I'll see you guys then.